Facebook the other day and saw a posting from a friend with this beautiful picture of her, and it had a little saying or quote that sounded just like her. Now, it's one of those typical Facebook quizzes you've probably all seen, and I love those things. I don't know about you, but I'm compelled to do them. So I did put my information in, and up popped my picture and this thing that said about me, and it said, when the going gets tough, Pattie's the kind of girl you want in your corner. She has the tenacity of a pit bull, and trust me, I do, and the heart of a golden retriever. She's overcome real challenges in her life, and she's always managed to overcome them and focus on what's important to her. Pattie is driven by passion and vision. And so this silly Facebook thing, I don't even know where they come from. Anybody know where those come from? I don't even know where they come from. This silly little Facebook thing kind of got me to think about my life, my successes in my life, my challenges in my life, and the things that I've overcome throughout my entire life and career. And so I want to share some of those with you. I thought about my failures and my successes, and how every time I failed, I managed to fail forward with a vision. So it started when I was a kid. I was the typical middle-class kid in a middle-class family who was born in Wheeling West, by God, Virginia. Now, when you drive into town or you leave town, the signs actually say you are entering or leaving Wheeling West, by God, Virginia. They still believe it, they still think they're the South. Well, I had an amazing mom who was a coal miner's daughter. She had 8 older brothers. She was the only girl. So my mom taught me about being strong and having strength and being able to be passionate about what you care about. I mean, she had to be strong with 8 older brothers. She had no chance of survival if she wasn't. My dad taught me about compassion and to be fierce and to always stand up for what you believed in. He taught me to always do your best and that I could do anything any boy could do and I could do it better. I actually think he wanted another boy. I was a tomboy, so that was okay. But the one thing he always taught me when things were really tough was to always go for that brass ring. He always told me, honey, no guts, no glory. So I probably had a typical childhood like many of you, with the exception of maybe one little fact. I went to 6 schools in 6 years. I had to not only get new school clothes every year, I had to get new friends. And so as an early child, I had this vision that I was special, that I was unique, and I was going to make a difference in the world. And Walt Disney said, cherish your dreams because they're the visions of your childhood. So I had your typical life. I had a great career in corporate and other parts of things that I did. I actually was fired from a job. You talk about failing. I was fired from a job not because of something I did, but I had one of those fights with a roommate. You ever had a fight with a roommate? Well, her dad happened to be the senior vice president of the company we both worked for. So I got fired. But it was the best thing that happened to me because I wouldn't be where I am today if I was still in that dead-end job. So I climbed that corporate ladder. By the time I was 29, I was one of the few female vice presidents of a major California bank. Ran my own company for 10 years, a consulting company. In December 15th of 1998, I got hired by Microsoft. Whoa. I was hired to be part of the worldwide customer partner experience team to change the culture at Microsoft. And people always ask me when I tell them I work for Microsoft, did you know Bill Gates? Yeah, I know Bill Gates. And I'm not one of those Microsoft millionaires because I wouldn't be standing there, I'd be on a beach with an umbrella drink if I was a Microsoft millionaire, owning the beach. But I had a great career. I was there for 15 years. I traveled the world. I checked every city off my bucket list. And I bet if there's a city on your bucket list, I've checked it off too. I lived in Asia for 3 years and ran the customer partner experience team. And when I talk to people about what I do and why I'm so passionate, I say I had an amazing 14-year career. But wait a minute, I said I was there for 15 years. So what happened? Well, at the end of my 14th year, I got the biggest promotion I could imagine. The highest number of stock awards I had ever seen, and a huge bonus. My pay was so big, my raise was more than 50% of my salary, and I thought they must have made a mistake. So I actually called HR. I think there's a mistake here. This couldn't be right. Oh, yeah, that's right. My executive vice president put me on an executive potential program that only 20 people got on a year. That was the end of my 14th year. In the 15th year, something happened. I climbed that corporate ladder, and I could feel myself falling down rung by rung. I was on the top of that corporate mountain, and I was sliding down, trying to grab onto rocks and trees to stop my fall, and I couldn't stop it. My hair started to fall out. I gained 35 pounds. Now, when you're 5'3" and you gain 35 pounds, that's a lot. I couldn't work. I had to drag myself out of bed every day. Before this happened, I was the Energizer Bunny, the fixer-upper, the person they sent to Asia to fix customer service because our customer service was so bad, it was a negative number. I was that person, and now I'm sitting here. I had to drag myself out of bed every day. I love to cook, and I couldn't even cook for my family. And here's the real big one. I am a confessed power shopper. I am a shopaholic, and I couldn't shop. So imagine that, ladies. I couldn't go. I couldn't make a decision. I was completely confused. I didn't know what to do. And I went to dozens of doctors and nurse practitioners and healers and naturopaths trying to find out what was wrong with me. And they all kept telling me the same thing. I needed to stop working 70 hours to 80 hours a week. I might want to take a weekend off every year. And I had extreme fatigue, extreme exhaustion, which was leading to anxiety and depression. Now picture this, a depressed Energizer Bunny. That's an oxymoron like jumbo shrimp or postal service. It just didn't equate. So I continued on this struggle, and luckily I found one woman counselor I was working with who was very insightful, and she was helping me in a lot of ways. And she said to me one day, I think you really go need to see this woman doctor in Bellevue, which is about 10 miles from my house where I lived in Washington. And I went to see this woman at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I walked in the door, she sat me down, she gave me a few tests to take and asked me a few questions. And then she took out that prescription pad. And all those doctors were giving me drugs to make me happy and drugs to make me sleep. And I'm one of those people that believes all of those warning signs you see on the TV ads for pharmaceuticals, like you're going to get a rash or your hair's going to fall out. I believed all those things. When she took out that prescription pad, I screamed, "No more drugs!" And she put the pad down and looked me in the eye and said, "Patty, I'm not giving you a prescription for drugs. I'm writing you a medical release form that says if you don't take a 4-month sabbatical or a 4-month leave of absence, you'll be dead in 6 months." I was in shock. I was in denial. I got in my car and drove home. I cried all the way home. I was in complete panic. I'm surprised I made it home because I was crying so hard I could barely see the road. I get home and my husband's there, and you can see I was very upset. And I tried to tell him what was going on, but I had that hysterical, deep, sobbing cry followed by tears streaming down my face. And he's trying to help me. This man, his name is Ross. We've been married for over 30 years. He's the soul of my life. He's my lover. He's my best friend. He's everything to me. And he's trying to help me. And I said, "I can't work!" And he says, "What?" "I can't work. Doctor said no work. We're going to be poor. We're going to be homeless living on Seattle on Skid Row. We're not going to be able to feed the kids." Well, I just went on and on and on. And he said, "Honey," he grabbed me, hugged me, kissed me on the head and said, "Honey, we'll figure this out." And we did. Now, it took some time, and I took that 4 months off. And I spent every day working on myself. I had amazing friends and family who were helping me. I bought books about self-improvement and motivation and personal self-esteem and all these things. I had journals all over the house. I wrote in my journals about positive things, that I was bold, brilliant, and brave, and I wrote all these things that were trying to inspire me. And we lived next to a forest outside of Seattle. And every day in the morning, about 5:30 in the morning, And every evening about 6 or 7 o'clock at night, I would walk my adorable pug, Roxy, in the forest. And so I put together these set of inspirational songs. And I put my headset on, and every day I walked through that forest. And at the top of my lungs, I would sing, "This girl is on fire! What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." Now, I'm honestly surprised the neighbors never called the police about this crazy woman singing, walking around the forest, like, what in the world? We had a few weird homeless peoples, and they thought, oh my gosh, it's one of them. But it was me. I tried to do everything I could to get better. And I was getting better, but something was still missing. All the help of the friends and family and my husband and everything I was doing, something was still missing. And one very rare sunny afternoon in Seattle, walking through that forest, it hit me like a rock on the side of my head, or I felt like I could have had a V8 and said I could have had a V8. What I figured out is I had stopped living my vision. I failed, but I did not fail forward. I stopped living my vision. I went from being that rock star to rock bottom because I lost sense of who I was and what I stood for. I was living my life like a puppet, with everybody else pulling the strings, telling me who I should be and what was important to me. Have any of you ever felt like that before, that somebody else is controlling your life and you feel like you're a puppet? Well, I was there. And so I figured, I gotta get this right. If I'm gonna live my vision and mission to help people, I had to help myself first. Because you see, you can't give away what you don't own. So I figured out what I needed to do. I took my favorite journal and my favorite pen. And I know you all have a favorite pen. Your handwriting's a little bit better, it's a little bit smoother. So I took those two things and I went to my favorite place. My favorite place is always by the water because it energizes me and it helps me think clearly. So I went to Lake Washington, which is very close to our house. I took that pen and journal and I closed my eyes and I imagined I was sitting on the Ellen show with all of my friends and family around me and all the people I worked with, all talking about me and my vision and how I made a difference in their lives and how I was helping them and what I was doing. And so I closed my eyes and I thought about that. And then I opened my eyes and took out my journal and my favorite pen. And I started to write the words I had visualized people saying about me, like compassionate and bold and brilliant and tenacity, helps others, catalyst, energizer bunny. I started to write all these words down. I went back to that spot on the lake every day for a month. And I fine-tuned all those little words into a mantra or a leadership vision, a personal vision for myself, to help me stay centered and always help me focus on what I wanted to accomplish. That vision statement became to make a difference and empower people to be the best they can be. So when I'm working with people and I tell them my story, I'm very open about my story, very transparent about it. I do it because I hope in some way I help one person, and specifically one woman or young girl, either avoid the kind of fall that I experienced or experience sooner so they catch themselves before they hit rock bottom. So I'm a strong-willed person. I believe in my vision and I live it every day and I use it to make every business decision I make, clients I work with and what I do. I've faced real challenges in my life. I've cried myself to sleep. I've dealt with every blow that's ever been dealt me and I've come back stronger every time and I get stronger every single day. We all face defeat, but we must not be defeated. And if you have a personal vision that you can use, like I use to keep me failing forward, you'll always stay centered. So I want to leave you with one final thought. It's actually from a quote from a gentleman named Joel Barker, who talked about and wrote about the power of vision. And what it says is, vision without action is a dream. Action without vision merely passes the time. Action with vision can change the world, and I am, and so can you.